Hi everyone, this is going to be your psychic or intuitive astrology reading for the new moon happening on December 30th, 2024, 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time, but times will vary. I know a lot of people really enjoyed that time jump video, and I have a couple other videos that are sort of like it. I'll put links below. I have a time travel video, and then I have a I did do one about timelines with a tree or something. I'll have to dig it up and I'll put links to it. But I'm also, with the new year coming up, I'm thinking I'm going to do even another, dive a little deeper into timeline stuff, because people were asking questions in the comments, and I have some of my channeled stuff. The guides have addressed this whole timeline thing. So I'm going to dig up some of that, and I'm going to put, seeing as how we're going to cross the new year, it's a good time. Many people are thinking about time as we cross over from the 2024 into 2025, that threshold of the new year. So I'm going to put it up probably next week, before the first of the year. I'm going to do a little research of my own channel material and dig up some stuff and maybe have a few things to add to it. But there are a couple more videos if you want more time travel or more timeline stuff. You can look at, I'll put some links to that, and then be on the lookout. I will be posting at least one more video just about timelines in general. But this is going to be the new moon psychic or intuitive astrology reading for the new moon December 30th in Capricorn. So this is happening at 9 degrees of Capricorn, 9:44. The sun and the moon are conjoined there. And it looks like they're not really, according to this, not really aspected, but sometimes they don't count some of the asteroids. But it's follow-up. It's a few days, a week after the solstice. So we're fully immersed in the Capricorn energy. And this is the first time that we've had a new moon in Capricorn, or even a solstice, in a long time where Pluto has not been in Capricorn. So it really is turning a new page into the Capricorn energy, sort of unencumbered, I almost want to say. Unencumbered by the heavy, not really heavy, but the strong, powerful influence of Pluto. And there's nothing, other planets other than Pallas here, but the regular, the traditional astrology planets. So there's no big dogs in Capricorn, and there's not going to be for quite some time here. So Capricorns, yes, you may be getting a break, but also it's always going to be, the Capricorn part of your chart that's was getting activated. Now, many people don't have 0 degrees on the house cusp here, so it may not be like in your personal chart. It may not be just because Pluto's gone into Aquarius. Like, for instance, mine is 9 degrees. Mine happens to be 9 degrees, my MC and midheaven. So, even though it's moved into 1 degree of Capricorn, or Pluto, it's still in my 3rd house. And that's going to be true with a lot of people, unless you read its whole house signs. But still, there's been a shift. There's absolutely been a shift. We talked about the timeline shift, but there's been another, shift of energy. The other thing is Capricorn, speaking of time, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn, it is the Lord, is the ruler of time too. So that's kind of interesting that we're having this new moon in Capricorn and everything. But Capricorn energy is, it's career and all that sort of thing, just in general. But it's also like, it's the wise elder. It's the ruler of Saturn. Saturn rules over Capricorn, and it's the wise elder, and it's got more experience. They keep talking about Time Lords. I don't know if it's just my guides are chiming in with Time Lords, and I do believe that would fall under the realm of Saturn and Capricorn. See, I always put this other chart over here if you're not following. Each planet has a ruler, so Saturn and Capricorn are together here, right? So it's like you can almost interpret them the same way. Or they carry a similar vibration or energy, okay? Yeah, so we're kicking off. We're firmly in Capricorn season, again, unencumbered. It's a good time to get things accomplished. It's a good time to make your plans for the new year. No, in traditional astrology, of course, the Aries Ingress is the astrology new year, so we don't really think of the January 1st, but it's so embedded in the collective unconscious, that January 1st is, the new year. So there is that, it is a new beginning, because you don't have to always go by the astrology. If something's embedded in the collective unconscious, then it is, it is a thing, and we all know it's a thing, and people do their New Year's resolutions and so on. Now, I'm always one to say that let's not do New Year's resolutions in the way of let's not talk about what we don't want to do. Let's talk about what we do want to do, or think about, or make a list together of what we do want to do and what we do want to manifest. Let's focus our energy on what we're trying to create, not giving a lot of attention or elevating the vibration of what we don't want to create anymore, or what we want to release. So, but with this Capricorn new moon, this would be a great time to kind of get that list out. What are you trying to manifest in the new year? Make a plan. Capricorns are big on making plans. Let's make a solid plan, a solid foundation, and really make things, get clear about our goals and ambitions for the upcoming time frame or the upcoming year ahead. So that's coming through really strong. Now there is other things going on. Saturn, which is the planet, like we just talked about, the rulership of this new moon, it's in a big square with Jupiter. Now that has been going on, and I have discussed it, but actually it looks like we've got a T-square. Yeah. So we've got a T-square with Mercury, which is direct now. Mercury had been retrograde for quite some time. Mercury is just a couple, probably out of the shadow or getting close to that point. But so Mercury's direct, things are moving forward, opposing Jupiter, and then Saturn. This kind of energy here, what this reminds me of, I'm trying to erase it so I'm not getting, there we go. It reminds me of, because Mercury's all about go, 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 talking about lists. Yeah, let's make that list, let's get this going. And then Jupiter in Gemini, which is the ruler of Mercury, like the same we were just talking over here, that's like amplifying that energy, and your mind's going a million miles a minute, and you can just kind of spiral out of control, spiral off the deep end. That's where the energy of Saturn coming in can really, slow things down. Let's slow things down a little bit here. Let's, again, with the plan, let's make the plan. But also, let's come at it, let's not just go, my guides are saying flittering from here and all about. We don't want to be flittering all about. We want to be, let's go through these things in a calm and practical manner. Because even Pisces isn't necessarily about really ambitious, but Pisces is definitely slow your roll. Let's slow our roll. Let's breathe. Pisces is the realm of the wise elder as well. It's not traditionally called that, but it's it's the 12th sign of the zodiac. It's been through the whole experience. It's wise and wisdom, and it has this elder quality as well. It also has this deep spiritual quality too. So our minds could be running amok. Don't let your mind run amok. That's another fun term from the guides. They come up with some good ones. Let's pull in the energy of Saturn with the new moon, and then Saturn making the square here. Let's pull it in, and let's consult. Well, even just consulting with our guides, before making your wish list of everything, this bugs me, that bugs me, I want to do this, Let's consult with our wise elders within ourselves, our higher self. And maybe even this is a good time to commune with the ancestors, pull in that elder energy from your ancestors. And even if they're no longer with us in the earth plane, you can still access their wisdom. And somebody's going to find some letters or something, I feel, from, or maybe it's even old Christmas cards or something. I'm feeling something with handwriting on it that is something old from, from an old relative. It feels more like letters, or maybe even a diary or journal or something, but it feels like some old letters or Christmas cards or something like that. I have stuff from my grandmother. My grandmother, who was the Gemini grandmother, she was a big writer and correspondent. She had all these pen pals. This is a house, I live in her house, the house that she actually grew up in. That was my great-grandparents' home at one time, but I bought it off of her in the 90s. But anyways, she was always pen pals. She had all pen pals. She was always writing letters, and she would send, Christmas cards and birthday cards and write, letters inside of them. And I have a lot of those. One of these days I want to do an art piece with, she was also an artist. I want to include some of her art and some of those letters. Not the actual, I won't rip up the actual letters. I'll make color copies, like a collage kind of thing. But You know, that's what they're showing me. So somebody, and maybe, I don't know, there's something more to it. It's not random. If you're somebody who does find one of those letters or some of the things I'm describing, it's not just random. I mean, there could be actual wisdom. Just like when the music comes through, I say always look at the lyrics, because there could be actual wisdom or an actual message in whatever's written down there. But even if that's not the case, even if it's not as particular, spelled out, literally spelled out for you, in the letter, I do feel like, that's going to be, it's not random. They're just coming through it. That's, that they're making contact. That's a visitation. That's a contact. And you can commune with them, but it also could be potentially addressing some of the problems that you may be facing, or some of the things that maybe your head is reeling about. This is, the Capricorn new moon is not about running around like the chicken with your head cut off, which is kind of what this energy can be here. We're off to the races. It's just off and running. This is about, being practical, slowing down, making plans, being calm, acting in a mature manner, not acting in a childish, don't go off willy-nilly or half-cocked, they're saying. My guides are coming through with all kinds of stuff. Slow your roll, and let's figure out a plan that's workable and feasible and that makes sense, okay? This isn't the time for pie in the sky, everything's flying all over the place. That energy is going to be present, and we're going to be wrangling with it, they're saying. All right, the other thing that's, is we're almost there. This nodal transit is just about almost done. And then the south node, we have Lilith here too. So I think I talked about this. It's actually the north node is conjuncting Neptune too, in an out of sign conjunction. But let's go to this first. So the south node with the Lilith. Okay, so Lilith can be that woman scorned, and south node can be that vengeful attitude, and also about, well, it's not fair, because Libra is about fair, and really that's all Lilith ever wanted, was things to be fair. She wasn't really making these outrageous demands. She just wanted to be treated as an equal, So let's make sure that, let's try to see both sides of the story. Let's let go of those old stories, is what I'm getting to. Because not only as we cross the threshold, because the next day is New Year's Eve, as we cross the threshold into this new year, again, that really has no astrological meaning, but it does have a meaning in the collective conscious, therefore it is present here on Earth, clearly. And, our collective mood and our collective thought process at this time as we cross this threshold. Let's let go of past grudges. Let's let go of it wasn't fair. Yeah, well, maybe it probably wasn't fair. Sometimes life is not fair. That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's what they're coming through with. So yeah, that's the way the cookie crumbles. But let's try to maybe come to terms with some of that. Let's let go of that. Let's be the adult. And this is really a time of adulting, as they say. This could be a time of adulting and really trying to look at things from just a different perspective. This is a time when it kind of brings out, in the Western culture, people who celebrate Christmas, it does bring out our inner child, and we do think about these childhood remembrances, and, the older you get, the more people are not around anymore. They've already passed over. So there is this whole nostalgia thing, and, you think about these kids. I've had friends who've told me stories, well, I didn't get that for Christmas. I mean, people still hang on to that stuff. Let's not hang on to that stuff, let's do some inner child work. That's, Saturn and Pisces. That could definitely, talk about timelines or time travel, that can be, you could come and be your own wise elder to your own inner child, travel there and heal that inner child and be that wise elder that maybe wasn't present or wasn't able to be present or whatever. And offer forgiveness. That's the biggest thing that I really get out of that. But what I was getting into here is this is the end of this transit of, I mean, I think it's even January 1st or 2nd. I don't have my other calendar right handy. But it goes to 0 and then it, because the nodes are always, well, for the most part, they do go forward, but overall their direction is backwards from everything else. So everything else is going higher in degrees and moving this way and changing signs. The nodes are going lower, 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 and going backwards. So it's going to, and the North Node is going to conjunct that Neptune here. We'll talk about that when it gets into that. But we're wrapping up a big phase here. We're wrapping up that whole nodal cycle, that whole eclipse cycle over the last 18 months of, the Aries North Node, of what is best for me. I'm going to forge my own path. I'm going to stand strong. I'm going to take care of myself, my number one. And then the South Node in Libra, our relationships. The South Node always being the past. The North Node is the head of the dragon, and this is the tail of the dragon. The North Node is the true north in your natal chart. I go into a lot of that in the soul reading. That's one of the big things I look at. It's definitely very karmic. I remember, I'm not, if anybody knows what it's about, I remember years ago when I worked the psychic fairs, it might have been back in the 80s or 90s, and there was this one lady who always talked about on New Year's Eve, you got to go write your letter and go talk to the lords of the karma. So, and I'm not really sure what that's all about. I don't really remember what it was all about. So if anybody has any information on that or remembers that sort of ritual or something, because that keeps popping into my head. With the nodes changing sign, the new moon in Capricorn, which is Saturn ruled, these are all karmic placements. These are some of the things that I do look at, and you would do a soul reading with me in your past lives and stuff. But this is our the transiting node here, the transiting node, the one that's right now, not in your birth chart, This is the one that is our collective unconscious, our collective direction. The North Node has been Aries, forging a new path. It can be, we've had a lot of people fighting amongst them because Aries is ruled by Mars, the god of war. There's always an upside and a downside to everything, but it's also innovative, forging your own path, the trailblazer, there's many good things about it. And then, of course, the South Node in Libra is a lot about relationships. Libra is a lot about relationships. So we're going through, is it me, myself, and I, as opposed to the other, and how do I fit in with that, and what do I want to, maybe let go of so that I could further myself. There's been a lot of, it's been a lot. There's been a lot of ponderances. And the interesting thing, or maybe interesting or not, is Chiron has been in Aries the whole time. So it's really bringing up perhaps some of these wounds. Chiron is that wounded healer. And Chiron and Aries is about really diving in our own wounds. And it could, on a higher level, it could be about, taking stock of that and not taking credit, but taking responsibility for it. You are your own healer. You are the wounded healer. Nobody's going to heal you other than yourself. It's an inside job and that kind of thing. So we're coming, this whole thing, and that's when the eclipses were in that sign, and this whole cycle, it's a big cycle, and it's rounding out right around that time. Let me see if I can grab my other calendar. I have that one here. Now that we're talking about it, I think I do want to really, dive into the exact timing on that. Just one second here. Let me pull up my calendar. I do have it in my hand. I'm just looking for the date here. And let's see. Yeah, it looks like it's maybe even January 1st. Is it January 1st or is it the 30th or 31st? I mean, it's a day or two. It's a day or two away from this. I mean, I guess it's going to also, again, depend on your location. Yeah, it's going to looks like, from what I can make out on this, sometimes these are Greenwich Mean Time, and it's not going to be true for everybody. It looks like it's right around January 1st that these nodes are going to go ahead and switch signs and turn into Pisces. Let me check on this one more thing. I don't want to give wrong information. I might have been mistaken on that. I might have been looking at the other thing. It's going to go to 0. I think that's what I was looking. It's going to turn 0 on January 1st. So it's going to, yeah, that was correct. It was going to turn 0. It actually will turn 29 on January 13th, according to this. So it goes 0 on January 1st, so that's just like, bam. the 0 hour. There's just something, they're showing me like a stopwatch, like clicking down, you know, click, 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 and 0, and then the clock strikes midnight. It's like, wow. But yeah, actually January 13th, I was mistaken on that. But I mean, you're feeling it. We're all feeling it now. It's the conclusion of a 1.5 year, 18-month cycle. And then the nodes are going to go into 29 of Pisces and 29 of Virgo and start ticking down that way. And it's going to be conjuncting Neptune. So that's going to be a whole nother big shift in energy. I may do a separate video on it, but it's going to be a big shift in energy. Very different vibe. Some signs are not that different of a vibe, but I think Aries and Pisces are pretty strikingly different. I think they're pretty strikingly different. So we're going to feel that shift as well. I'm noticing here that we have the Venus square the Uranus here. Venus at 26 of Aquarius and Uranus at 23 of Pisces. I mean, 23 of Taurus, excuse me. Yeah, so unexpected things with love. Could be some good surprises, you know, especially if you have planets around that placement, 26 degrees, 23, 26 of fixed or air, earth. You know, there could be some kind of, you know, you might get somebody could pop the question, my guides are saying. You might get an engagement ring for Christmas or holiday present or something like that. It could be a wonderful surprise. You know, loved ones could be acting really out of character, though. That's another thing that I'm definitely getting here. Like, they could do something seems like that's really bizarre. You know, why did they do? It's a surprise energy. And here's another thing that ties this in. So Uranus, you have a mutual reception going on here, because Uranus, ruled by Aquarius, ruler of Aquarius, and Venus is an Aquarius, and Venus, Taurus, ruler of Venus. So each one is in its other sign. So that's called a mutual reception. So that even strengthens that energy even more. That gives it even more of an emphasis, or even more of a connection. They're in each other's shoes. They're in each other's houses. Some people could have like a major revelation about a loved one. You may have come to some kind of an understanding. It's like, oh, that's why they act that way. Maybe you're going to meet their family for the first time. It's like, oh, that's why they act like that. Oh, I see now. I see why where they got that from. I see what that's all about. And it could be a good thing. It could be a bad. Overall, you know, I just feel like really like, wow, it's so exciting. Or somebody's being handed keys. Maybe, I don't know if it's keys to a house or a car. Wouldn't that be a lovely holiday surprise? Yeah, so there's that energy going on. Another thing that's going on with these nodes is the Mars is trining the North Node. And Mars, we're talking about rulership so much, that seems to really be a big theme in this chart. You know, Mars is the ruler of Aries, so we've got this energy going on here. Mars, its ruler, is giving it a trine. It's giving it that boost, for that last push of Aries energy, that last push. They're showing me like somebody just over the finish line, like a photo finish where they're breaking through the ribbons, you know, and it's just, they've got their chest stuck out just so they can, you know, like a photo finish, just that last push to get across the finish line and accomplish whatever you've been trying to accomplish on a soul level individually, because Aries, again, is this individual energy over the last, you know, year and a half. Mars is still opposing Pluto. I mean, that could be volatile. I think we've talked about that before. Mars in Leo can be a lot about pride. Watch, you know, don't try not to get so prideful. Again, we want to maybe defer over to what we were talking about earlier with this Libra energy, trying to see the other's point of view, being the adult in the situation. You know, don't get, tempers could flare. With Mars opposed Pluto, tempers could flare, and the guys are saying somebody could blow their top. So we don't want to blow our top. Also, though, the other side of this, because Pluto and Aquarius can be the downside could be a little bit indifferent. Like, I don't know why you're being so dramatic. I don't get it. I don't see. If you're on this end of it, if you're on the Aquarius end and somebody's really overly emotional or dramatic or whatever the case, maybe try to take a minute to understand them. Don't just be like, man, you know, you're blowing this out of proportion. You're, you know, just not hearing them and not, you know, not taking them seriously. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, but if we step into this, not let ourselves get triggered, you know, step into that elder energy of the Capricorn, and even Aquarius is, you know, it's a little it can be a little detached, and to others perceived maybe as cold, you know, but they're just, you know, they're not so tangled up in the drama. They're just, you know, they're just not, but trying to step out of it, especially because we, you know, many of us are going to be around family members that we maybe don't see as much, and they know those old buttons get pushed, and if you, you know, if you react the same way, you're gonna, you know, you have to be the one to take the lead. You know, this Capricorn new moon is calling us all to take the lead in these. And I want to quote the Obamas: "When they go low, we go high." It's that kind of energy. So if somebody's gonna, you know, they want to go around and have the same old fight, or, you know, start pushing your buttons and the same old stuff, you don't have to revert back to, you know, you're not 10 years old anymore. You know, you don't have to revert back to your 10-year-old reaction there. You know, you can look at it from an adult and call them out. The way I'm getting it is like, call them out. I'm hearing that's a terrible thing to say. Instead of going right back at them, like they say blah, 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 and then you go right back, blah, 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 blah. You could say, that's a terrible thing to say. And, you know, that's just going to catch them off guard, because they're expecting that this is always, it's a time of breaking these old patterns, you know, of breaking up these patterns of, you know, we always go in and we have the same argument over and over again. And, you know, take the adult role, even though it's hurtful to you. Or you could say, that's a terrible thing to say, that's really hurtful. Or, that's a terrible thing to say, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Instead of, you know, going, okay, here they go, here it comes. We're starting up, here we go. Let me get all my bags of excuses and comebacks ready to hurl right across, right back at them, you know. It's like, no. Change the tone. Take the reins. Change the tone. Change the direction. If you want a different outcome, you've got to do a different thing, okay? But yeah, overall, I feel like this is a great time, again, to make our plans for the new year. And with the influence of the new moon in Capricorn, you can make goals that are obtainable. You can make realistic goals. And with the Saturn being in the Pisces there, you can call on your higher wisdom, your higher guides and angels, or ancestors. I'm getting really strong ancestors for many. I think it's this time of year, maybe. But again, they're showing me the handwriting. Maybe I have to go dig out my grandma's. I have them all in an envelope, my grandma's letters, and read those over. Of course, most of them are just news about the family. Oh, this one had a baby and they're moving. It would be pre-internet, you know, when you had those family chain letters or whatever they were. But Grandma would always, you know, write me out all the latest news on everybody. That's mostly what it's about. But I think I'm going to go do that. I know exactly where they're at. I'm going to pull them out and read them. Because maybe it's even just a message for me. But I think it's not just for me. Other people are, you know, are going to come across some of these things too. All right, well, this is the reading. Hey, everybody, if you want to get in on that year ahead reading, we're coming down to the wire here. There's only a couple of weeks left, a week and a half, or, well, 2 weeks-ish left. So I know many order every year. Many have already ordered, thanks to everybody who has ordered. And many order every year. If you haven't got yours or you've never ordered, you know, check it out. It's a pretty in-depth reading. We look at all the big transits, and there's so many this year. You know, we do have all these planets changing signs. Not everybody's going to be affected by it unless you have low degrees, but there's a lot of other stuff to look at. The nodes are changing signs, Neptune, Saturn. I have the whole list. I should probably break it out again if I could find it real quick. You know, there's just so many planets changing signs, so that alone. And then, of course, the eclipses are going to start happening in these different spots. Yeah, we've got the nodes, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus even is going to change signs this year. So these are some big dog planets. And then, of course, the Pluto and newly in Aquarius, you know, we'll look at that and more. You know, any big transits that are going on in your chart, we'll take a quick overview of that. And then we do a 4-part tarot spread of the 4 quarters of the year. So it's a really good value. And you get an animal totem too. I've never raised the price in like 11, 12 years. I've been doing this reading every year. So check it out if you're interested. I do have other readings that are astrology based. One is the soul reading, which is based on past lives on your chart. You know, I have that. And I'm not offering any predictive astrology readings at this time. I probably will start the Aries Ingress in a couple months. I'll open up for that reading. But this will be your last chance to get that year ahead, so do check it out. I hope everybody has a great holiday season and a happy new year. Take the high road, be the adult, make your plans, think about the last 18 months. Think, you know, this cycle is wrapping up, and where are you going to go next? The Capricorn, let the Capricorn elder wisdom guide you as to where you may be going next. And like I said in the beginning, I will be probably posting before the first of the year or thereabouts. I'm gonna dig into my channeled material, and I'm gonna put like a compilation and talk more about the timeline, since everybody seems so interested in it. But I'll also put a link to a couple of those videos that I have already done about time travel. And I believe I have a timeline one that I did a while back, and I'll put that up as well. So thank you all for tuning in, and thanks for your likes and subscribes. I really do appreciate it. Remember, you are love and beauty incarnate. Have a great, happy new year to everyone. Let's make 2025 the best we can possibly make it. And I'll be back again soon with another video. Till then.